Starting the show a little early today. Let's say a little sooner than perhaps is a good idea. Certainly sooner than is normal, perhaps. It's Monday morning, October 17th, 2016. And to be honest with you, I just got up about an hour ago, actually. Went through the routine. Morning routine. Bathroom facilities. Brush teeth. Wash face. Comb hair. It's Monday, so go out and bring in the garbage can. Garbage man came about 4:30 a.m. Picked it up. I brought the can back away from the curb, put it back in its usual spot by the shed. Set the tea kettle. Turned it on. Boiled some water. Made a cup of tea. Now I'm an American, born and raised here. And I don't like coffee. I'm not the only one. But I'm not British. Tea is my thing. So I have my cup of tea in the morning. Decaf, by the way. So there's no charge coming from that cup. No energy pack there. Except for the sugar. Oh yeah. 3 lumps sugar. Alright. No cream. Yuck. Anyway. Just lit my first cigarette of the day. And as it turns out, it's not a coincidence that I mentioned that. The reason I mentioned that I just lit my first cigarette for the day is that I want to talk to you about, oh yeah, the government and the social, political war against tobacco and against smokers. I'm just going to start out by telling you a couple of things. And I am not going to be so arrogant in telling you these things as the anti-tobacco people are. I might get a little nasty, actually. Should I issue some sort of disclaimer here? Should I warn you that I'm going to talk nasty? Is it necessary? But should I rate this show? Should I, put up some sort of ratings thing here, like a rated A, rated R, B, G, M, PG, 13, whatever the fuck. Should I do that? I suppose if I was considerate, I would give you some sort of indication of the kind of language I would be using. So perhaps you might want to, cover your ears and not listen. If certain words offend you, or if you're a little squeamish about words, sounds, it's radio, so it's sound, it's not like text, right? Which reminds me, if you have a comment, you want to say something about the show, keep it on topic, of course, and down below the on the radio page, there should be a comment section where you can say something. Keep it civilized and try to keep it intelligent. In other words, don't come on my freaking radio page and make comments like, "You idiot," or "You're a moron," or "You're a pervert," or some other slanderous or libelous defamation kind of comment. Because I might just look you up, find out where you are, and sue your ass for libel, or slander, or defamation, or all three, depending on what form your attack on me took. I mean, seriously. It is a civil crime to slander someone, to say something about them that is, one, defamation, defamatory, that can harm that person's reputation, that is an attack upon that person's character. And apparently, if you're running for president, that doesn't count. But actually, it does. But people seem to think that it's okay. That politicians running for, like, governor or president or what have you, they're fair game. That we can just say all kind of nasty things about them and lie about them and defame their character and their good name all we want. They're just fair game. Not necessarily. All right. We'll get back to that. I kind of wandered off. Actually, it is related. There is a trend or a condition, at least in America, where people have become, I'm not sure that it's always been true. At previous times in history, perhaps maybe it just wasn't, well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't true, because this war on smokers and tobacco users wasn't quite so vile and venomous as it is today, and has been for the past, I don't know, a couple of decades. And when I say vile, I mean vile. The anti-smokers, the anti-tobacco people are usually, I'm not going to suggest every single anti-smoker out there is a Nazi fascist bully. But if you condone the behavior of a Nazi fascist bully, then, we could probably lump you in with them. we could probably say, oh, well, birds of a feather stink together. Oh, yeah. Second cigarette. So here's the thing. This war against smokers, this war, and it is a war because it is being waged like a war. We are being vilified, attacked, and physically attacked. We are subjected to violence, violent language, violent physical violence. We are being deprived of our rights. More than that one, actually. We're deprived of our quite a number of rights. Human rights, natural, inalienable human rights. Now, I'm not going to define the word rights in this program. I'll get to that another time. But we could use the word freedom instead of rights. Our freedom is being attacked. Our freedom is being... we are being deprived of our freedom. Now, I suppose that American people have been so brainwashed, so indoctrinated with venom, that they can't think straight and they can't reason things through. The majority of Americans, and I'm kind of actually putting them down here, so you might suggest that I'm putting you down if you're one of these anti-smoker people. Bullies. Nazi fascist bullies. I was going to add another word there. I will. Nazi, fascist, bully. Motherfucker. I just added that for emphasis. It was probably, what do you call it? Gratuitous? Anyway. Yeah, I added it, so what the hell. Did I finish up with that part about giving you a rating system so you'll know ahead of time what's going to go on this program, this particular episode? Should I rate it G for A, general audiences? Somebody might object to that. Someone might say, but it's not rated. It's not really a G show, is it? It's more like a R, because, you curse and say naughty words and bad words and stuff, like, motherfucker and cocksucker and bully. Oops. Bully's not a bad word, is it? A lot of people use that word. Even the bullies. I was thinking of school. Back in my school days, high school and so on. A lot of bullies. Some of them were principals and some of them were teachers. And a few of them were students. I didn't like the teacher bullies, and I certainly didn't care for the principal bullies. They were, back in those days when I went to school, high school, public school, and high school and so on, they represented the government because they worked for the government, so to speak. And I know in a direct way or indirect way they worked for the people, but they didn't really serve the people, did they? They worked for the fascist police state motherfuckers. The mind benders of the neocon socialist collective agenda. The Matrix. Now, I'd never heard of the word Matrix until they came out with this movie a few years ago called The Matrix, which was I won't do a critique of the movie. It was interesting, but the word itself and the concept is well, it's sort of goes on to the category of like George Orwell's 1984, The Matrix. I think The Matrix is a good word to use for the conditions that exist in America today. We might say that it's just a word that's a representation, a word to describe the true circumstances in America today. For example, you could call it a lot of things, but I don't think you could call it a democracy. America is not a democracy. I'm not sure it ever has been. And God forbid it ever gets to be a democracy. I'm speaking totally, completely. There are certain aspects of democracy that work very well, but the founding fathers, quote unquote, weren't particularly fond of it. And modern day Americans seem to forget that fact. But okay, it's okay to improve upon the situation. It's okay to take a government that was formed back in the 1700s and improve upon it as time goes along. Now, when I say improve upon it, I don't mean, make it worse. If you're going to make it worse, then you might as well just not bother. Because I don't think that's the way it's supposed to work. Anyway. So, if you're anti-smoking and anti-tobacco, and you're the government, or a member of the government, right, president, senator, what have you, and you participate in this anti-smoking, anti-tobacco campaign, war against the people who, just may want to smoke a cigarette, who just may enjoy it, who just may consider it a part of their routine. Call it a habit. Call it an addiction, if that's what you want to do. Go ahead. Call it an addiction if you like. The word addiction is common in today's America. They like to use that word to describe a lot of things that have nothing to do with an addiction. It's all a part of the Mindbender plan, the agenda of the Mindbenders of the Matrix, to turn the English language into Babel. Meaning the words don't mean shit anymore. Let's just take a word and just use it inappropriately and use it incorrectly and use it for ulterior motives. For example, to create hysteria in the minds of the people, to manipulate, condition, and control the human population. Now, I hate it. I think it's disgusting. And I think that the American people should rise up against these bullies, these fascist, psychopathic bullies, and take them down. You can interpret that any way you like. I suppose I should explain what I mean. I think we should take them down. I think we should take them down like we would take down a mad rabid dog. Running around in our front yard, threatening the lives of all of us, our families, our wives, children, husbands, our own not rabid dog, take them down. Just take them down, put them down, bring them down. Don't pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about. Rabid dog. What do you do with a rabid dog? You got a rabid dog in your front yard. It's foaming at the mouth. It's growling at you, and it's like acting, insane. And it's biting everything it can get a hold of. Biting anything it can get its mouth on. And infecting that other thing, whether it be, a human being or another dog or a cat or whatever, spreading the disease of rabies, spreading the madness. I don't think there's any question there. If I was to get up in the morning and go out on my porch and see a rabid dog in my front yard, or any other kind of animal for that matter, foaming at the mouth and growling and biting at things and acting pretty crazy and insane, I'm going to think, this is not good. Because, number one, I don't want this rabid dog biting me. For one thing, I don't want to get the rabies, and I don't want to die. Because it would be a hell of a way to die, wouldn't it? It would be a nightmare. Wouldn't like that, and I don't really particularly want to have the shots in my stomach either. I mean, I don't understand why they have to do that, but okay. They always say that. A very painful series of shots into the stomach, whatever. Oh, God, what a nightmare that'd be. And we don't want that. We don't want to do that. But we just prefer not to do that. Of course, if we're bitten by a rabid animal, like a rabid dog, then obviously we would say, oh, yeah, do it, but I won't like it. And have to endure that. So, in other words, we don't want that to happen. We don't want our children, bitten by a rabid dog. We don't want our children to suffer, to get rabies, to suffer and die. And we don't want to have to subject them to this painful series of shots to their guts either. How do we stop that rabid dog from biting our children, our wives, our husbands, brothers, sisters, whatever? My solution? If I went out on my front porch and I saw a rabid dog running around my yard biting my cats, or trying to, biting and tearing and growling and drooling and salivating foamy crap out of their mouths and shit, with that, crazy look in their eye. And yeah, I have compared the government of this country to a rabid dog. Don't make any mistake about that. Presidents, senators, governors, policemen, particularly policemen, rabid dogs. Various degrees of rabidity. Some police officers are not as bad as others, but they all belong to the same club, don't they? We've all heard stories about the blue, I forget the phrase now, the thin blue line, the blue club, the fraternity of blue people. You know what I mean. See, I don't even have to know or express the words for you to know what I'm talking about, do I? I don't even have to say it out loud. You know what I'm talking about. The Blue Menace. And I must tell you, I don't think there's any doubt here that the men and women in blue in America, the American version of the Taliban or the Gestapo, and they even labeled it very appropriately. A few years ago, they started using this phrase, law enforcement, which, by the way, means, most people don't understand this concept, but law enforcement is a Taliban phrase. I mean, you could say the Taliban was law enforcement because the cops, apparently, as I understand it, had the authority and the power to go around, beating people on the street if they felt like it. Now, maybe I've been misled here a little bit by the propaganda, but let's say that Taliban is very violent and very uses force and against the citizens of, say, Afghanistan. And the police can go around, and beating people for, like, a woman for, like, daring to walk down the street by herself. Or, go get in a car and drive herself to the freaking doctor or whatever. Or, which is really silly, for a member of the government, let's say a senator, a parliament, or whatever government, whatever the title for their government procedures are, go out and get in her car and drive herself to the state legislature or the government body, a place where the equivalent of a senate in America, police can pull her over and beat the crap out of her because she dared to drive a car in a country that she's not allowed to drive in. Oh, excuse me. I think women's rights are lagging way behind in some countries. I think it's pretty weird that, 21st century, there's still countries, societies, cultures where, women are not treated like human beings. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent here and talk about, those Islamic countries that, like, total fucking lunatics and morons. But anyway. See, I'm throwing in a lot of information here. I don't just have to stick to one subject like anti-smoking war against human beings and human rights. I can add some other information in there, keep it interesting. Now, you're jumping around, you're going off on tangents. That's fine. It's not a problem. That's my style. That's the way I do it. And, just pay attention. Keep up. And take notes, because if I say it, it's probably important. I said probably. So, Taliban. And anybody that's been around for any period of time, since, like, World War II, the Nazi threat, the Gestapo of German era, the Nazi German era. Gestapo. I'm not going to waste the time here now defining that word. You know what it means. If you don't, then look it up. Google, dictionary, whatever. Pretty confident that if there's something you have a question about, you can find it on the internet. The internet is like the largest, most complete educational facility available to humanity in today's world. And there are people trying to do away with it and limit it and oppress that knowledge because they're fucking bastards. Nazi, fascist, bullies, and bastards and motherfuckers. Alright. I've decided not to rate this show, so you're not going to see anything on the description of the show when it's posted online, and you're not going to see any like PGR 13 X rated anything. You're not going to see that because I don't do that. This is called monologues because, I speak. I say what I want. If you don't like it, fuck you. I mean, you don't have to listen. Well, if you're listening and, oh my God, I didn't want to hear that. Too late, you've heard it. And you may have seen a rating on there and said, I'm going to read it, watch it anyway, or listen to it anyway. Like, I was warned, but I chose to ignore the warning. I'm going to listen to this man rant and rave and cuss and shit like that. But, hey, I'm listening, and no, I can't unlisten to it now. I've heard it already. And then you're saying, oh, God, he's, like, saying curse words and shit. And children might be listening. I hope so. And in defiance of current American Nazi fascist government laws, yeah, my words, my art, my work, my life, and everything I stand for, everything I offer to the world, I offer to everyone. Probably one of the first actual equal opportunity artists and commentators on the planet, because I actually think that what I say is there, hanging in the cyberspace, and in reality on, in person, is there for every human being. So there's no restrictions here. There's no oppression of my thoughts and my words. If you've got an internet connection, you can listen to what I say. You can listen to my show. You can hear the wisdom. You can hear the truth. You can hear the logic. And you can hear, in the case of my radio show, seeing as how it's radio and not television, you can hear my critical analytic observations, or hear me express them, because I believe in freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and freedom to do as you damn well please, as long as you don't violate someone else's rights. And by the way, you don't have a right not to hear someone say the government is a totalitarian, authoritarian, fascist, Nazi fucking police state, and the people running it are rabid dogs. This thing about, for adults only, excuse me, no, you made that up. You're a fucking fascist pig motherfucker, and kiss my fucking ass, you piece of shit. All right, that was directed towards those people who want to oppress English, the word, the expressions of a human being. Not just me, everybody. And if you got a little kid that's like, I don't want his ears to hear that, that's, you're oppressing that child or that young person or that adolescent, as it were. By the way, child, adolescent, two different things. Two different stages of human development. A 16-year-old is not a child, biologically speaking, and should be, legally speaking, as well. Because you can't have... it's just ridiculous. It's this freaking an oxymoron. Speaking of morons, and it's just wrong to say, that person is not of the proper age to hear that, or listen to that, or know that, or understand that, or whatever, or do that. And why? Because I'm a fucking tyrant, bully, and a piece of shit, and I said so. Well, fuck you. And in some cases, fuck you to death. Like, if you're like a fucking Nazi, fascist, police state motherfucking cop. By the way, I never gave consent to be governed by these psychopaths. Which means that I'm classified as a slave, because they control every damn thing. Lunatics. So no rating, because I said so. And the government is directed by the law that is created to control and, regulate the government, which states, shall make no law. Says Congress, but since Congress at that time was the only body that could make a law, since today, even presidents make laws and shit, like, they're not allowed to. I mean, that's a crime, but they do it. The American people know they do it, and the American people are like, that's not nice, but they don't do shit about it. Well, that's where I come in. Yeah, do something about it. Shut down the fascist Nazi beast state bullies. Yeah. All right. So you're waging war against tobacco. You're waging war against us smokers. Now, don't pretend you're not, because they are. That's just the definition of waging a campaign of hate and vile, venomous bullying. Against us smokers. See, I got back around to what I started out with 35 minutes ago. I usually do. All the rest of that information was valid and good and important, too. So, went off on a few tangents and went off on a few branches in different directions there. It's all attached to the same concept. Don't fucking be a bully. Well, you can be something, just don't bully people. And if you think you can do that without consequences, if you think it's all right to do that, then you're a piece of shit. Or a psychopath. In either case, you should be locked up, in a freaking padded cell for your own good and for the welfare of everybody else, because you don't go around telling people what to do. I'm not telling people what to do. Well, in a near future, I will be telling people what to do. But you have to interpret the words correctly. On the one hand, my tone of voice being, don't tell people what to do, you freaking Nazi bastard. On the other hand, I can tell people what to do. Same words, different connotation. So since those words can be confused with the Nazi, fascist, police state, bullying motherfucker people, then I probably shouldn't say it that way. I probably should say it differently and in a more appropriate language so that people will not misunderstand me. So I'm not going to tell people what to do in the sense of being a bully. I'm not going to bully them into saying, what I want them to say or doing what I want them to do. I am going to make a suggestion. I am going to recommend. I am going to strongly suggest that you do certain things. Now, I'm not a bully, so I can't bully you into doing it. I'm not a Nazi fascist piece of shit like the government people and law enforcement. Oh, God, that's a Gestapo word, by the way, because that's what the Gestapo did. Enforced law, because they're like fucking bastards. Oh, by the way, they want to force me to rate this show and say, for adults only and shit. If you don't get to hear what I'm saying until you're 18, then, it's too late. You've already been indoctrinated, manipulated, brainwashed, conditioned, and your brain turned to mush. And I don't mean just me. I mean, anybody that's shares my thoughts on these atrocious atrocities and horrendous things going on in America today, for example. So I don't tell you what to do. I make some suggestions, and you don't have to do it. You can do whatever you want. You can ignore me. You can just not listen to me in the first place. And you can even be a bully and, refuse to allow anyone under 18 to hear what I have to say. You can censor me. You can bully me and bully your children by not allowing them to decide for themselves what they want to listen to, what they want to learn. And they need to know that they have the right to listen to anything, including me. Regardless of what you think is true, regardless of what you've been brainwashed into believing, you have the right. You have the freedom. Well, in America you don't have freedom, but it's a tricky slope there. It's a tricky slope. At any rate, this waging war against smokers and tobacco is probably not going to stop because Americans, among others, in the world are simply fucking pussies. They're cowards. and in a lot of cases, they're just freaking stupid. Oh yeah, I'll just let the government bully me around and oppress me and take away my freedoms and tell me what to do. Yep. Called those mindless zombie freaks. Drones. You're listening to this, you're probably one of those people that thinks, oh, hey, I can listen to that show if I want to. You're probably thinking, I'm free. I'm listening to him, am I not? And, but you're probably not paying close attention. And you probably have something you want to say. I've got an opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Well, guess what? It's radio. On the radio, this radio show, you don't. You can have it, but you ain't going to be talking it to me, buddy, because it's radio and I can't hear you. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, you can leave a message in the comment section. But pretty good chance if I see it and I think it's absolutely fucking stupid, or, words coming from a mad person, rabid person, like a cop or a president or whatever, then I can just beep, delete that comment and no one will ever see it. Because I'm a tyrant. But, not really. They are, I'm not. So let me add a few comments, just a few facts, details, or views, points of view, conclusions, observations in the closing minutes of this segment. I'm convinced that this campaign to bully people into not smoking and to make us look like really bad people for smoking, for one thing, you don't have the right to tell me I can't smoke a cigarette. You just don't. I don't care who you are. I could be the president of the fucking United States of America, and you don't have the right to tell me that I can't, take some tobacco, roll it up and put it in some paper and light it and smoke it and inhale it and put it in my brain, my buddy. Because, it's mine, buddy, and I'll do what I fucking please with it. You got a problem with that? Drop fucking dead. Alright, I'm pretty harsh, but that's the way it goes. I'm going to point out this one thing. Consider. Think about it. There's no evidence that I have, that I'm aware of, that proves that smoking tobacco, cigarettes, causes lung cancer. There's considerable evidence to support the opposite view, that no, it doesn't. A lot of information here that I can't squeeze into 2 minutes, so I have to do another segment, I suppose. But the point is, I've never seen any evidence to that effect. I think that's just not true. I think it's a part of the campaign, the war against human beings who choose to smoke tobacco products. Secondhand smoke. It's such an illogical concept that it's bizarre it's just bizarre. I mean, come on. Often I've heard people repeat this. Oh, yeah, it causes lung cancer and blah, 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 blah. And they totally don't know what they're talking about because they're just repeating the words they heard said by, mind benders and bullies. They've taken up the gauntlet, The chalice, the gauntlet, no, whatever. The point is, I'm going to leave you now. Tune in to the next section. I'll try to get another one in today. All right. So think about that. No, it doesn't statement. And if you got any ideas about that, prove it. All right. Got to go. Talk to you later.